Hi, and welcome to another episode of Why Would You Park on the Train Tracks, though?
Oh man, are you really trying to dive into that? That
Oh,
seems like a
yeah.
lot.
In 5D.
5D.
So I did want to dive into it only because, look, this isn't the stuff we usually talk about on this podcast for very good reasons. Because y'all should not take our opinions on anything too hard.
No, no.
But there was a
You
video
really
that I
shouldn't even
watched.
listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, we're here for the SSMGs. I wanted to talk about this viral video that has started to get super popular. Don't worry, we're not turning to a reaction stream. We'll do a whole separate show for that.
Oh my god.
Um,
It's the best I got.
but so yeah, there's a viral video of a police car getting hit by a train.
Yeah.
And so here's the best part. I read Reddit, but mostly I browse popular. I think I've only ever subscribed to one subreddit because I'm not a joiner. Um, but so I just kept seeing the headline and the headline, and with all the craziness that's happening around just law enforcement and all that nowadays, I kind of stopped looking. It's not that I don't care. I just it's never good news.
It's that I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I care in the sense of like, yeah, maybe we should make society a little bit better, but it's nothing I can do about the particular incidents. Anyways, but yeah, so I'd heard about it and I hadn't actually seen the video until today, which kind of surprised me. And pretty much immediately I sent it over to Bonsai and I was like, "Yo, what's up? Do you see what's going down here?" And I finally got the whole story. It's actually dumber than you think. So apparently, somebody was pulled over, and the officer decided to put them in the back of his police car or her police car. I'll be honest with you, I don't actually know if the officer is male or female. And then, for some reason, that police car happened to be parked on train tracks. Parked. So you see this is like
It's not for some reason, it's for no reason.
fair.
That's the problem.
Fair. Okay. Okay. We fair enough. There's literally no reason to park on train tracks, even if you
Yep.
think they're abandoned.
You had
And
feet. You had feet you had to move.
yeah, and it gets better and worse, right? So not only is he parked are they parked on train tracks, and not only are they conducting the entire pre-arrest conversation while this person's in the back of the car. The person in the back of the car, you can hear them getting agitated because they can hear the giant train sounds.
Right.
And you can see this big giant fucking light. Mind you, we have three sets of cameras. I believe we have a body cam and two vehicle just
Dash cam.
dash cams. And then the video switches over to the dash cam of somebody else, showing that the police officer not only flees from the vehicle because there's a train coming, does not even fucking try to pull the lady out of the back of the car. Like, there was
No.
no attempt. It was, oh my god, there's a train, bye. Like, just completely out. First off, I thought
Well, yeah, of course they were out. There was a train coming.
yeah, I know. No, while I understand what human instinct does in that moment, I used to think that there was a little bit more training involved, and I understand fight or flight is very much a thing. So it could literally just been a lizard brain reaction, but when you see it on video,
Didn't look good.
it looks pretty bad on all accounts.
Mhm.
And like the weirdest like thought process came out on this one. It was like, well, I sure hope they had a good reason to detain the person, because imagine if they didn't. I'm not going to get into the details of it. It doesn't matter for the point. I'm only bringing it up because this is probably one of the wildest videos I've seen in a long time. Not craziest, because the world is the world right now, but wildest in the sense where it's like completely avoidable.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a group of people just being stupid and things escalated and got out of hand. This was just some very poor choices on one particular individual. So definitely wanted to talk about that, or at least bring it up. I just, big fucking L for those folks. I really do hope the victim actually ends up recovering, but I'm not gonna lie, like the idea of it was so absurd. I laughed. I
Yeah, it's
laughed
pretty
if
bad.
yeah. So, anyways,
Pretty bad.
also I spent the last week or so laid up with stuff, so I've watched all kinds of shit. And with stuff, I mean the thing we don't talk about because the video gets
Yeah.
not even demonetized. I think they just say no. So
He
I've
had
actually
beer flu.
beer flu. I actually started catching up on a bunch of shows. I watched a few things. There's one that I want to talk about because it was honestly the most disappointing out of everything that I watched. And that's Thor: Love and Thunder. Whoops! Look at all the code.
Yeah, we finally. it was actually probably right around the same time we sat down and watched it as well.
And I had done a full media blackout on this film, right? Because same deal with No Way Home. Still haven't seen it.
No
I
Way
know-
Home's worth seeing.
I know. I heard, but I'm trying to get enough of a separation from
Is
it.
that not up on Disney?
It is. I just haven't. It wasn't one of the ones that I caught up with on.
It just right now it can't live up to the hype in your head.
Exactly. They've talked
But
about
you
it
know,
so
but
much.
like, but you know that now. So can't you just come into it tempered, like knowing that there's no way it can be that film?
Yes, but because I enjoy some of the Easter eggs and some of the stuff a lot, I want to get a little bit of separation for it to be like, oh, that's right, that's that thing, and be pleasantly surprised versus expecting all of the memes, expecting all of the stuff. So I'm getting a bit of separation from it. I was doing similar with Thor. It just happened that I was in the mood for some, God of War smashing TV. Sorry, I
Oh,
can't.
you didn't get that.
No. Okay, so let's get a couple things out of the way because it is a movie review. It's not the worst Marvel movie. Like
No.
there are much worse. It's not even like the worst Marvel TV show kind of thing. Like it's
No.
it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. There were a lot of really fun bits. I'm not gonna lie, the fucking goats. Dear Lord, I died laughing.
I did not enjoy the goats.
Oh my god, I enjoyed the goats very much because they felt how I felt. It was very much like I was on board. The joke initially makes sense because of the mythology, right? Like we've all, I guess I don't know if we all have, but in Norse mythology, Thor very much had some goats.
Yeah.
And I was
for me, it felt it was too. Let's insert something wacky.
Yes. So the problem though is that you really just hit the nail on the head. I feel like this entire movie was that.
Mm-hmm.
Was let's insert something wacky. So in lieu of everything else, that wasn't so bad. And it made me laugh. There were a lot of jokes, by themselves were funny. The way that they were thrown in, I was just like, okay, sure. Somebody's dying here. Legitimately, you're trying to show impact, and Thor is just gonna make some joke, some
Right.
dumbass joke. So I don't know. I was very definitely disappointed in it, and not for all the reasons everybody's talking about. Like everyone was pissed at Lady Thor or Mighty Thor, I believe is the character's actual moniker. I thought it was fine.
And for the record, for anybody who wants to complain, Mighty Thor was a comic where Jane Foster had cancer and got a hold of Mjolnir and became Thor. It ran alongside The Unworthy Thor, which was a redemption arc for Thor, where he had to actually go and try and do something to earn his hammer back after becoming unworthy. And while I didn't read the series, so I don't know exactly what he did to become unworthy, I know it all started when Nick Fury whispered something in Thor's ear, and immediately Mjolnir fell from his hands, and he was unworthy.
Did they ever
Find out
reveal
why?
what
Go
that
read.
was?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was part of the unworthy / mighty running series thing they did.
So-
I personally didn't read it, not because of any personal political agenda or anything. I'm just not really reading much current Marvel. It doesn't really.
I don't read Marvel
Yeah.
or DC generally speaking.
Or just feeling like I don't need anybody to run. I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't read that. Nope, I just don't read anything Marvel
Yeah,
really
no,
at
no,
all
no.
right now.
Honestly, it's because there's a giant barrier for entry, and I can't afford it, and B, ain't nobody got time.
Yeah, well, you know me. I had the series I liked, and it's one of the ones they discontinued. So
Ah,
I've just spent my time collecting all of that series. So now I have all that series, and that's really all I care to have.
yeah, and with Marvel specifically, like it's how I feel about DC. I usually
Yeah,
only come back in for the big crisis events or the big world events because they'll have summaries of the world so far kind of deal already baked
right.
in. So I jump in and out, but mostly indie comics or like actually I can't even say indie anymore because most of the shit's getting bought out. But
Yeah,
like Dark Horse is my jam. I even like a lot of the IDW licensed properties. Right, it's just not your
yeah.
stereotypical
I read a
comics.
lot of Image.
Yeah. I used to a lot. I'm going back. Anyways, so back to this. A lot of people were pissed about Lady Thor or Mighty Thor. I thought it was fine. I
Yeah,
actually
and it worked. I like that they actually got oh my god, why am I blanking on her name?
Portman.
Natalie Portman back.
Hmm.
Like that
And
was great.
so here's the interesting bit. I feel like I have this argument in Batman movies where I thought the Lady Thor character was great, but the Foster character was not so great.
Yeah.
I
Though kudos to the physical transformation.
Yeah,
She bulked the fuck up.
yup, she really did. I wonder how hard it was to hide the muscles if they had to do any reshoots for her being in her feeble and sick self, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no props. Again, this is nothing against Portman. This is nothing against any of the actors. I think the actors did well enough in the role that they were given. I thought the adding the gods in like from other pantheons was fun. I understand what they were doing with Zeus and that whole pantheon. I understand it, but I thought it was such a fucking letdown.
Yeah,
So
there didn't end up being much to it.
so like even just on a plot side of things. So the gods were all petty and stupid, and no one yet in all of the existences and all of the larger than life hero teams, no one just kicked the shit out of them yet. Like that seems kind of dumb. Let me just
Yeah.
put that out there because like they have to have followers for a reason, right? You can't just be a dick all the time and I don't know. I
The other disappointing thing with the Greek pantheon, and here's a minor spoiler for folks: the post-credit scene
yeah.
reveals the character Hercules, who is in Marvel stuff. Like for anybody who's like, what? Yeah, Hercules and Zeus and all them, just like Thor and Asgard are characters. Ooh, excuse me. Oof. Hercules and Zeus are also Marvel characters.
Mhm.
So they got an actor in. He played Hercules for just a post-credit scene. They've already all kind of come, like even Taika Waititi and everybody's gone like, yeah, we don't know if he's ever going to come back. It might have just been the one scene, and given what they just did with John Krasinski and Mr. Fantastic, there's actually a lot of credit to it only ever being one
Oh,
scene.
have they actually announced that? I know it
He
was
is not
kind
going
of...
to be. He is not going to be playing Mr. Fantastic.
Oh boy. All right. Well, whatever. It is. At this point, I'm just.
Seems like a silly call, but whatever.
Like at this point, casting calls in the Marvelverse are like whatever. In the sense where it's like, yeah, you guys keep teasing some really cool stuff, but then you don't use the right folks. DC's doing the same fucking thing. I mean,
Here's what I will say. I feel like if you use John Krasinski, Mr. Fantastic, that does sort of. Oh shit! I can't say anything. Never mind. You need to see Spider-Man.
that's funny. Yes, probably. So, anyways, back to this.
Chat wanting some Beta Ray Bill love. I don't blame him. It's never gonna happen. Wish in one hand, shit in the other. But I agree with you.
Well, what is it? What's the other one? Lobo. That's really fun, but they're never gonna do.
That's DC though.
I know, but still, it's one of
Oh,
those characters.
the worst part, if they ever do Lobo, they already wasted the best casting for it. It would have been Jason Momoa.
Mm. Yeah,
It,
or
it just would have been a gray Jason Momoa.
yeah. I feel like his hair is a little too curly, but they could always straighten it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. So, anyways, Love and Thunder. I feel like I don't understand what the point of the movie was, right?
Yeah.
Like bad guy doing bad things for reasons. Okay, add a bunch of MacGuffins and misdirects, and all you have is maybe Easter eggs and reveals for other series. But this is
I'll tell you what the point of it was. It was to explain why we're going to have him have a different love interest in future movies.
okay.
And honestly, probably to gear up for his exit.
I do feel like they were trying to gear up for his exit.
He's probably like for Phase 5. He's probably your big exit.
You think so? You think they're gonna?
If not midway through Phase 5, because if you remember the original Civil War plotline, Thor was already dead, and that's where they bring in Cyborg Thor, and is that the same guy as Ragnarok, or was it a different guy than Ragnarok? Either way, they were faux Thors.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see a run with some faux Thors and other shit, just so you don't have to use Chris Hemsworth anymore, because he can't play it forever, right?
So,
like literally, he can't.
No, he can't. And honestly, the worst part is that this feels like Thor 2 all over again. They just wanted to get.
Yeah.
They wanted to get to another place, and all they did was.
They're starting to become Star Trek movies. It's like every other one is the better movie.
It's so weird.
Odd-numbered Thor films.
Honestly, this is probably a 3.5 out of 5. Because look,
I would go probably honestly about that same range.
The visuals were solid, sure. Some of the jokes were hilarious and they landed. But unfortunately, it feels like the comedy was its own movie and the action scenes were a whole different one. Like it felt like two very separate. Plus,
yeah,
like you and I have talked about Bunsen and I. We do talk about things before we bring it up here, but our girl Valkyrie got fucking robbed.
Valkyrie was my biggest disappointment. I was really honestly, I would have taken Thor Valkyrie buddy cop movie over this shit.
Or even dude, I would have, if they would have done Foster in the what I think is the right way. So, because look, it was a very difficult topic that they dealt with Foster, right? But
yeah.
it just felt like
the plot line they gave to Valkyrie feels like something that should have been developed in one of the other movies, not a Thor movie. Like her doing the diplomat thing and then rolling up for one big fight where she's not one of the centerpieces for the fight. And I get that it would have felt really crowded with Hemsworth, Foster, and her, but it's still just maybe let's just not do her for this movie and let's put her in Quantumania or one of or any of the other movies that they're doing where there's tons of crossover stuff.
Or drop her into
I'm so phlegmy this episode. Sorry, everybody.
Drop her into a Loki. Do a reveal in the Loki show, right?
Something, but this plotline felt like that. It felt like one of those weird, like Wong being in She-Hulk. It felt more like that than it did something in the franchise she's coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt wrong.
Well, and I think that they did a really shit job of explaining, well, why did they break up? Oh, they just drifted apart. I'm like, okay. And that gets fixed because she's dying? What are we playing here, right?
Yeah.
It honestly didn't hit. Wasn't the worst movie. But unlike Ragnarok that I can put on and watch several times over, I don't know that I could do this. I think honestly for me, I'm just gonna watch clips of the goddamn goats.
You're on your own with that. How did you feel about Christian Bale? It's kind of crazy that they have such a big name actor as the villain, and literally, we've talked about this whole movie, he's never even really come up. And I feel like, for me, that kind of explains his whole character and his whole performance in this movie. Though, I will say I am a known Christian Bale fan.
That's actually why I hadn't. Christian Bale fan. That's why I hadn't talked about Bale yet, because I know you have a hate on for him. Um, and I have
In this, I will say he wasn't bad, but the character just didn't matter.
so that was the problem with it. Legitimately, my favorite part of this film, other than the goat, was his performance. Because
Really?
yes,
I thought it was just really phoned in and kind of nothing.
so here's the best part. It wasn't Christian Bale. It was Betty. Because going into it, he didn't do his usual Christian Bale acts. Like, you could barely tell that was Bale, and I thought that was great. I thought that was fantastic.
Okay, maybe it's because I'm the only Bale movie I like is Reign of Fire, where he's kind of just phoning it in as an everyman, and to me, this just felt like him doing Reign of Fire. He wasn't doing anything special. I guess he was like slightly loony, but it was.
Look at the scenes that he's in. He emotes. He very much shows anguish.
I mean, I'm not saying he was Ben
agony.
Stein. I'm just saying it wasn't anything that was like, fuck, this guy went deep. It to me, it really just felt like he showed up and was like, oh, he's a little off and angry. All right, off and angry.
I still have to say, I'm sorry. I believed his emotional scenes more than I believed Foster's or sorry, Portman's or Hemsworth. When his kid died, I felt it more than when Foster died.
Dude, to me it was so Charlton Heston with a clawed no. I got nothing off of it. Nothing.
Fair enough. And honestly, I've seen Bale in a bunch of solid things, and it wasn't his usual, like, it's almost like he's in on a joke that you're not allowed to know. And a lot of, especially when he's like, talk about The Dark Knight, talk about like those films where like he always acts like he's got it. And in this one, I just felt like I felt that while the character didn't give him very much, it wasn't just Christian Bale in something else. You know, that at least we've disagreed before, and that's okay. And we've actually disagreed about Bale before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought he did it. I thought he did well. Is it just weird that this movie felt like they just wanted to throw in a bunch of cameos just to get you excited about the Marvelverse again?
I don't know what happened. My recording stopped.
Oh, that's fun. That's okay because we're live, so this episode is just bye-bye then. I mean, except for the live audio.
Yeah, just go ahead and crash that.
Fair enough.
So, dude, I don't know why I'm so phlegmy. Then my fucking Audacity goes down, and it's a night.
Everybody's has
it's a
one
Monday.
Of those days. Yeah, exactly. And it's a Monday coming back from me recovering from shit. So I have no reason to judge you.
And we both had to watch Thor: Love and Thunder.
I know. The cameos were fun, sort of.
Yes.
Too much. Like I could have done without the Guardians of the Galaxy, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, added nothing to the film other than wrapping up him hanging out with them.
And why is it that like they keep displaying as Thor as the friend nobody wants to hang out with?
Yeah, I don't really get that.
I don't understand the animosity that a lot of the Marvel characters have with Thor. Like, especially because it just keeps hammering home that the Marvelverse hasn't given him room to develop as a character.
Yeah.
Because Thor in Love and Thunder felt like Thor from Thor 1, as opposed to Thor in Ragnarok, where it felt like he maybe learned a little bit. Right? I don't know. I'm definitely disappointed in the flick. I'm gonna stop beating this dead goat and just fucking go along with it. By the way, the goat thing. Do you remember the screaming goat videos that we used to watch?
Sure.
The one that the reason it killed me so much the first time was because it reminded me of that where they overimposed the goat screaming into Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball song. I came in like a wrecking ball. That whole thing. So the first time, it just fucking killed me. By the end of it, they did it a little too many times, but I still in.
From the first bleat for it, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit went over like porgs with me. Was just an immediate fucking pass.
Yeah, I was also not into the porgs. Ugh.
It wasn't cute.
just to cap that off, I give it a, I don't know, 3.5 daddy rock people out of 5.
I'm gonna put as much effort into my rating as Christian Bale did into his performance. 3-ish.
I disagree, but that's okay. So kind of keeping on with that same Marvel thing, I watched something that the internet hated.
Oh, I watch lots of those. Usually I like them.
Yeah, but in this case, I didn't hate it either. God, it was so fucking meh as well. So I did watch. Jesus, is every one of my screens gonna have that? Probably.
You watched Jesus? How was
Yeah.
that?
No, I
Kinda
mean,
preachy.
it depends. Passion of the Christ. After a while.
Oh God,
It's one of those things you only watch the one time.
that was just a. I've never even watched it. It's just a snuff film
I mean, you
about Jesus.
can't really say that, but fair enough. Because you haven't watched it. And second, it's probably the most faithful adaptation of that story I've seen, which is saying something because legitimately everybody always kind of glances over the fact that they beat the shit out of him before they strung him up, according to the text. So
I'm. What was it? Patton Oswalt, I think. But the Passion of the Christ is like, oh, I want to tell the story of Einstein, but no, not the stuff about helping the Manhattan Project or any of his theorems. I just want to do the 2 weeks where he had crippling diarrhea. It's just him clutching a theorem on the toilet and violently shitting. That's the Einstein story. Mel Gibson's nutter. Oh look, She-Hulk.
yeah. But people, I mean, they get to tell whatever story they want, just like She-Hulk. Okay, so I picked this graphic for a reason.
Because you're really into calves.
Oh, I love them. No, ankles are my thing. It's like
Okay.
R.I.P.D. Also, another movie that flopped that shouldn't have because it should have been better. It just should have been better.
Yes.
I didn't hate it because I like shitty movies, but it should have been better. So, anyways, She-Hulk, attorney at law. Why do I have this picture? Because it says attorney at law. And why?
Yes.
Because she makes it a point in the first, 1 or 2 episodes, I'm pretty sure it's the first episode, to tell you that it's about an attorney at law. Great. But it's kind of not. So, okay.
It is. It isn't, but it is.
So I have none of the rage issues that a lot of the internet had about this, but I do understand. I get why we're done with this. I get why we've gotten to the point where it's show me, don't tell me. Stop talking about it.
Sure.
Just show me. But let's talk about the things that I really enjoyed. I think the actress is doing well. I think it was a solid cast. She's quirky and this and that. Characterization, again, I'm not sure. I didn't read the comic book, but is She-Hulk? I mean, have you read the comic book?
Nope.
So is She-Hulk?
I've read comic she's in, but I've never read She-Hulk.
Usually that flippant and fourth wall breaking kind of stuff.
I mean, even without fourth wall breaking, lots of narration still finds a way to speak directly to the audience without it counting as breaking fourth wall. But again, I never read her series. Usually fourth wall stuff is left to Deadpool and Gwenpool.
Yeah, exactly. As far as I was aware as well. So that was an aspect that I just didn't understand because it was really hard to switch back and forth between when is she talking to the characters and when is she talking to the audience. There were some times where she was just out walking saying really stupid shit that I'm like, all right, well, if you're saying this out loud, you're just ruining everything for everybody. And then they would immediately go back to someone talking to her. And there was almost no, I don't know, there was almost no separation in a show me kind of way where it's oh, now it's not inner monologue or it's not her breaking the fourth wall. So that was something that I thought was kind
I
of
don't know
funky.
the scene you're talking about. The only thing I can say, I haven't had this problem. To me, it just feels very Ferris Bueller-y.
Yes, except, yeah, fair enough. Although it's been a while since I saw Ferris Bueller, but I don't remember him being like in super crowded areas saying really horrible shit where people would react violently. It was just the kids saying kid stuff, right?
The, again, I more like the approach, the carry
Yeah.
out, not the content.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. So again, if done properly, I'm not mad at that they did it. It's how they did it, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I haven't run into that. To me, it's just coming
Yeah.
off as well as they like
Um,
Ferris Bueller has done the same thing. I haven't run into this issue that you have.
it's got some solid comedy bits. I actually thought the bits where she spends time freeing the supervillain was solid and spot on. I thought that was great. That
With
was
Abomination.
Yeah, that was some
Yeah.
of the stuff that I enjoyed. For sure. Everything else just felt like we're gonna do an origin story without doing an origin story.
I appreciated that. I'm so sick of fucking Marvel
But
origin
but
stories.
we still
Everyone's
did
the same story.
but we still did an origin story, right?
A way quicker pace, truncated. Let's just get it over with origin story.
I just
Other
wanna-
shows would have done the whole season to tell that story.
Sure, I agree. I really wish there would have been a lot more leaning into her being a lawyer in a superhero universe, without a lot of the her trying to figure herself out, because she very clearly states throughout the entire fucking first season that she just wants to get back to being a lawyer and doesn't want to go through all the other shit. And I'm like, okay, well then stop talking about it and show it.
Well, here's what I will say. This is the same plot as most of their origin stories, just done in a different way. Most of the time, they get these powers and they don't want powers and they want to get rid of them and they get dragged into being a hero. This is the world trying to drag her into being a hero, but the whole story is really about her being a hero in a different way by trying to do these court cases and represent superpowered people.
Yeah, and I think honestly, the Abomination was the only part where I felt that was successful.
I am shocked that they didn't drag that out for longer in the season. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because again, that was some of the funnest bits. I really, really
Though
liked
the
that.
copyright law on her name bit, excuse me, I really liked.
So I liked the plot line was whatever, but I really liked the court scenes. I thought it was fucking hilarious. The
Yeah, and
reactions. Sorry, go ahead.
With how the show is going, I'm hoping that's something they're going to do more in
Yes.
season 2. I'm hoping those are going to go over well enough that we can finally go like, yo, this show can hold its own on being superhero court drama.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So I'm definitely into it. I do want to see more. I just thought the first season was a little weak. It happens. I'm down. There were some cool Easter eggs. I
Yeah.
will say that like having a Ruffalo show up in the beginning, I don't know, man. That was such a fucking mixed bag for me. I just just addressing the elephant in the room. Why is it always got to be about who's better? Like
Yeah.
it a lot of stuff felt forced, and I'm getting really tired of these multi-billion-dollar fucking properties trying to teach me a lesson. I'm here for fun. I'm not saying don't include it, but it just feels very much like they're just legitimately, they're not even like weaving it into the plot. There are points where actor stares into the camera and lectures.
Sure.
And I just want that to go away. Not just here. I want that to go away for everything. Like, yes, show us the struggle. Yes, show us what is happening. Show us that this shit needs to change. Show us the thing that you want us to see. Stop telling us about it. That's where I just had a hard time with it. And the problem is I can't even go into details without a bunch of fucking name calling and shit. And it's not as big of a deal as the internet made for it, but I just thought it was sloppily done. Wong was great though. I thought his cameos were fucking hilarious.
See, and while I don't have that issue, my bigger issue with it is I'm done with every female-led show needing. Well, honestly, I'm done with every show. It's done a lot harder in shows led by females, but they do it just as much in shows about guys. Not everything needs to have a subplot about finding a spouse or finding your true love or dating or like I'm honestly just sick of love stories. Everything has a love story. Not everything has to have a love story. This like she's already a superhero and a lawyer, and now we also have to concern ourselves with her fucking
Well,
social life.
but
I just don't get it.
but
Why?
that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like you're not showing us a strong female character being a strong female character. You're showing us a physically strong female character having to deal with the same stereotypical bullshit that every other show has done already. Where like you're taking
Yeah,
away
it's not unique at all.
no, you're taking away all the character's agency by diminishing her to just like, well, regardless, she still has a hard time finding a dude.
It's not quite as bad as, but it is pretty close to what was the Joss Whedon Wonder Woman, where
Oh.
like in the first episode, her boyfriend breaks up with her and she eats a pint of ice cream on the couch while crying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that, right? Like I have nothing against, because again, first Wonder Woman, I was in, I enjoyed it. I thought it
Yeah.
was great. It was a good way to show a strong female character being a strong female character. It really proved that a movie can be led, or a property could be led, by a strong female character.
But
So,
I still hated the ending.
sure, but
It was her love for Steve that saved the day. Fuck you. Why couldn't it be because she's a badass?
right, and that's kind of where I'm at here as well, right? Like, I just felt, I honestly felt that they took the message that was supposed to be ingrained and like, hey, society, wake up, and then they just fucking shat all over it and diminish it. Again, focus on
Yeah.
her being an awesome fucking lawyer. Like,
Yeah,
that
I
would've been
want more court. I
great.
seriously just want to focus on like superhero courthouse stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I want the bulk of the show to be.
Yeah, like every so often she's got to get into a fight. Sure, that's fine, but that's not the point of it, right? The point
Right.
is she's a lawyer, especially because they go to extreme lengths to show that like she has totally gotten, you know, the credentials. She's got the know-how. She's savvy. All that, and then to just fucking waste it. I thought it was whatever. Honestly, it actually gets the same rating as Thor for me. Like maybe
That's fair, I guess.
maybe a 4, 3.75. It's just maybe I keep saying this, but maybe I'm just done with Marvel.
This has been a weak phase for sure.
Yeah, I'm just not
It's been a
feeling it.
weak phase. I'm hoping Quantumania can be a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I know it's gonna be so hard to watch fucking Black Panther because there's already a group of people who are going to love it regardless of the quality. Like that movie could seriously be like 45 minutes of somebody in a
Yeah.
Black Panther suit playing with a ball of string, and there would already be a group of people be like, "No, it's the best, and you don't understand why."
It's visionary and whatever.
And then the opposite already
Yup.
exists. That movie could come out and it could be the greatest film ever made, and they would just find a reason to shit on it because they're already not going to like it. So it's already going to be hard to watch that movie because everybody is we already know they're going to introduce the Iron Man replacement, and brace yourselves. It's a woman, and she's black, and she's young. So
Oh, okay. They're actually doing that character.
yep, they're bringing in Riri Williams. That's announced. She's in the trailer that we've already seen.
Okay. Because I again, not.
Yep. Yeah, so I actually didn't know it was her because I think most people only know it's her because they're familiar with the actress. So because like it's not like they say her name in the trailer.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just
yeah.
show a young girl working on something, and that could have been anybody from Wakanda. But I guess knowing who was cast as her, people went, "There she is, right there in the trailer." So,
Hey.
but yeah, so they're going to introduce that, and that's going to piss off
Yeah, as long as,
10,000 people who aren't familiar with the character existing in comics.
honestly, as long as she doesn't get the same fucking story arc she did in the comics, I'd be fine.
I've never read anything with her in it. I only know that she exists.
I just don't really like how the way that they set her up to her justification to why she's better than Stark. I was like, get out.
Oh, so yeah. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know any of this
it's-
context.
Yeah, like again, we won't go through it here because it's not the fucking
Yeah.
point. But
Um,
yeah,
So Black Panther's gonna be rough, but I'm hoping it's at least halfway decent. It is gonna be rough watching it without him, because I do think he brought so much to that character.
before I
so-
even
What is
saw
this?
him as like full suited Black Panther, I thought he did a fantastic job as just the Prince of Wakanda.
Yeah.
In the earlier Marvel flicks. Yeah, Chaz Bowman.
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman. I tried, dude.
You got so close, bud. I'm
So
proud
close.
of you. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna. I'm sure we've done these lists 1,500 times, but let's just do. We're just gonna do what's not out yet. So coming up, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That's the next one. That'll be November.
Okay.
Then we're gonna get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Okay.
And then we're gonna get Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is James Gunn's last movie with Marvel, and it's gonna be Dave Bautista's last run as Drax. So I think we're probably in for a halfway decent one there.
Hopefully,
Especially if we follow this every other movie timeline.
Yeah, Guardians 2.
Guardians 2 movie.
I can't watch it. It's just I have no interest.
I like it till the end. I don't love the end. We forgive Yondu really easy for an entire childhood of being a pile of garbage. Just saying.
Yeah.
So then we get okay. Here's another one. It's just going to be hard to watch because again, you're going to have these same people who auto hate the fuck out of this movie and it has nothing to do with the movie. The Marvels. So that's going to be Captain Marvel's new one, and everybody's all mad about fucking Brie Larson like being herself.
Yeah.
Crying about it.
I you know me. I didn't like the original, like the first Marvel. It wasn't a hot piece of garbage like other films. It was okay. It was fine.
Yeah, I liked it, but I'm also a big fan of hers. So.
Unfortunately, I wish you and I could have a conversation outside of Brie with that movie, but it's really hard to because nobody can have a conversation outside of Brie. It has become so fucking labor to have a conversation about that movie.
But this will even bring in 2 other characters who I really like, and people will probably shit on because they are who they are. So then we got Blade. That's November of 2020. Dude, I'm not gonna live long enough to finish fucking Phase 4. Jesus Christ.
I'm a huge fan of Blade. We'll see how this goes.
So there's gonna be Captain America: New World Order, and that's where they're going to introduce Falcon America.
Yeah.
As the captain. I know he's in Falcon Winter Soldier, but like this is his big movie debut as Captain America.
Yep.
I hope that one's good, but if it comes out at all like the other Captain Americas or Captain America Winter Soldier, for me, they just lean to soldiery action movie for me to really enjoy. It's not my kind of movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, because
it might as well be James Bond or The Transporter or like any of them. Those, like, I don't love those.
That's more around the kind of stuff that I grew up with.
Right. I did grow up with it, and I've just grown completely out of it. I'm not a fan of that genre.
I need to be in a weird mood to be able to go back and watch the Stathams and even like wow. The 007s are good, but a lot of the times, honestly, it's more about the intrigue and the lore than necessarily the jacked up action. I love Bond when he was a suave and had all these cool gadgets.
Yeah.
Like, the spy aspect of it attracted me. With Captain America, just bringing it all the way back here. Number one, I thought it was a solid flick, but it was a different type of movie than pretty much every other Captain America out there. Number one felt more like a Band of Brothers kind of thing with some sci-fi thrown in.
Sure.
Right. That's what it felt like. I liked it because I like Band of Brothers and all that, and I thought it was solid. Captain America 2, that was
Winter Soldier.
I liked it because of the storyline.
People swear it's one of the best Marvel movies. I really do not enjoy it.
They're fun. I think honestly my least favorite as a Captain America film is Civil War.
Another one people love. I don't like it.
That wasn't a
I like the one scene. The one big scene with all of them fighting. Great scene. Other than that, don't know why that movie was made.
That wasn't a Captain America movie. That's what I feel like.
Didn't like it.
I feel like it was a team up film that they should have just done as a team up film versus make it an Avengers 0.5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So continue.
Still to go. Thunderbolts on there. Honestly, this is gonna have a really hard sell for me. It's gonna feel like a really weak Marvel, at least from what I'm seeing so far. It's gonna feel like a really weak Marvel Suicide Squad, and the lineup is terrible. There are better introduced villains that they could have put in, and also, how are you not just gonna throw in like a fun villain we haven't met before? Really? I feel like this is just running out some contracts for characters they don't know what they're gonna do with.
Yeah, and I think it's like, hey, we've already set up these established characters that folks kind of like. We should probably do something with
Yep,
them.
it's
Yeah.
running out contracts. Okay, then we're gonna get Fantastic Four. This is November of 2024 we're in. This is what I mean when I say I'm not gonna live this long.
Like, legitimately, I hope Fantastic Four is good.
They deserve to finally have a good movie. Can we not? Can we not just finally do? Let's skip the origin because we don't need it. We fucking get it. Dudes went to space, cosmic shit, superpowers. It's fine. It's like Spider-Man. We get it. And can we not just do the Mole Man like we're supposed to do? It's supposed to be the Mole Man. Look, I get that we did that in Incredibles at the end. I get it, but you know what? Incredibles never delivered on that, so let's let the Fantastic Four do it.
Incredibles or Inhumans?
Incredibles.
I don't
The
see-
end of the Incredibles, a dude comes out and he's like the Underminer, and he has like a
Oh,
little
okay. I
drill.
thought we
And
were
then at
talking
the
about.
beginning of number 2, they take him out.
Okay, I thought we were talking about something within the Marvel verse here.
No,
Okay,
the
fair enough.
Incredibles. Okay, and then we're gonna get Avengers: The Kang Dynasty and
Yeah.
Avengers: Secret Wars.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Is it weird that I'm not really looking forward to a lot? Just
Yep. Well, and then honestly, even their TV shows from here on out, I think, are a little weak. So we're going to get What If Season 2, I'm in. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, probably be fine.
whatever.
Secret Invasion looks like it might be pretty cool.
That was interesting when I heard of it. I don't know how I feel though.
Echo looks like it might be okay, only because I know it's going to have a lot of Daredevil and Kingpin in it. So I hope that'll elevate it some. Then Loki Season 2 will probably be fun, but I don't know. That magic might wear off pretty quick. I legitimately don't know. Then Ironheart, 50-50, man. It's really going to depend on how things go in that movie and what they really want to do with that character. Then Daredevil, which I think will be great. But then Agatha, Coven of Chaos, I really have no interest in. And Armor Wars, as surprised as I am to say this, as a fan of War Machine and Don Cheadle and all... After seeing Falcon Winter Soldier, I don't know that Armor Wars is going to be that good. Their action stuff, like their action heavy soldiery action line. Let's call it a line, right?
How do you
It's really just action generic spunk gargle wee wee. There's no big surprises.
how do you feel about the first Iron Man though? Because it had a lot of those elements.
It had a lot of those elements, but it also introduced that's really only the first half of the movie, and it more introduces a lot of it's almost like a Batman, right? You're really selling the character, you're not selling the action. Like, let's take it to an extreme. Bayham, a Michael Bay film. They call his scale of action Bayham. I don't like Bayham. It just doesn't work. It's too generic. It's too and usually a movie that focuses on Bayham, it's usually really paint by numbers. Hero shows up, does something awesome. Villain is established. Villain slights hero. Hero makes an attempt. Hero fails. Hero has a pep talk or something that redeems them. Hero wins the day. This is, especially with like 80s action, this is 80s action, rinse, repeat. I wouldn't like Iron Man. Unfortunately, because all of the Marvel movies pretty much follow that origin template, it only felt okay in Iron Man because it was the first one. But legitimately, going back and watching it now, the movie is hurt by having all the other origins be almost the same movie. Much like people talk about The Hangover, saying had they never made Hangover 2 and 3, it would actually be like one of the funniest films ever. But doing the sequels really diminished the first movie. The first movie is hurt by making more. That's what happened to Iron Man. I think, ask me when Iron Man came out, and I would say no, what a breath of fresh air to action, even though it totally does follow the same paint by numbers.
Yep.
Something about the charm of Robert Downey Jr. and that kind of tongue-in-cheek sort of approach to things, it just kind of fucking worked. Now, No, it's very much a formula that they've been, putting a new skin and a sheen on the front of it every time they want to whip out the origin for a new hero.
Yeah, that's fair, and it's like video games. I'm really tired of that first level, the character being super overpowered and then losing his powers. It,
Yep.
it's starting to get to me.
Yep.
It really is. I'm like, what's wrong with just the hero's journey? Like, yeah, maybe don't paint by numbers the hero's journey, but like, it's okay if someone starts out weak and gets better. That you don't have to. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, the Phase 4, by the way, honestly, out of the TV shows that I've seen, so far, Moon Knight's been my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Over WandaVision, I really like WandaVision.
Um, okay, so unfortunately, WandaVision just feels like a continuation of the movie, and WandaVision is a very specific thing.
Of what movie?
Of the movies, sorry.
Oh.
Movies.
But I mean, shouldn't that be what the shows are, as continuations of the movies?
Well, with those characters, yes, because they are part of the big cinematic universe. But Moon Knight was kind of coming in out of nowhere. So,
You know where they're going to stick him, right?
yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
What I like about that show is that I kind of feel like if you take away Marvel from it, it still stands up on its own.
Sure.
That's my favorite part. And not just that, they actually did something really interesting with the characters, right? Like,
Yeah.
the character is having some very difficult interpersonal issues that isn't just your stereotypical will they, won't they kind of deal, right? Yeah, sure, there's that aspect of it. But it's not because they don't care about each other. It's because there are some really larger than life kind of things going down. I thought the character was played really well. I really very much enjoyed.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm enjoying Marvel embracing the extended magic universe a little bit more. I thought that was really fun. I really liked the the whole traveling on the ship bits when
Sure.
they go into the toward the field of reeds and things like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was just a solid show. I felt that even the female lead was a very strong female lead. She wasn't taking a shit. Like, I thought it was a very well done and well balanced show. Did it have some flaws? Sure. I also like was it Ethan Hawke? I believe is the name of the actor, the bad guy in
Yes.
I like Ethan Hawke's performance.
Ethan Hawke.
I said that, Ethan Hawke.
Okay.
What?
You phlegmed up a little bit, and it sounded like you were saying Ethan Cock.
I mean, Mike Cock. It's high school all over again. Yeah, no, I think he did a good job. I thought he was believable as the slightly schmarmy, completely like, like he was
Yeah.
greasy, but yeah, damaged. I thought it was a good show. So yeah, so far out of the shows, it's my favorite. Then definitely WandaVision. Although again, I liked WandaVision so much that I just felt like it was a movie. I'm sorry that
No, it was.
it was very good. It was very good, and as much as like, I like what they did with it, them bringing in Quicksilver and all that, right? Like the misdirections. It was well crafted and well put together. I thought the at least WandaVision, the Shield stuff was probably the weakest bits. Like,
Honestly, for me, I would rate Falcon Winter Soldier under She-Hulk easily.
oh no,
Falcon
sorry.
Winter Soldier was just fucking boring.
I'm no, I meant in WandaVision, the Shield subplot lines. I thought those were the weakest parts of WandaVision.
The Who subplot lines?
The Shield.
Shield. I kept hearing you say
Shield,
She-Hulk over and over again.
No. Shield and
Shield.
Sword.
Yeah.
I thought those were like, they were fine, but they felt like they were from another show.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, no. So definitely Moon Knight, WandaVision, very close. After that, yeah, you're right. Falcon and Winter Soldier felt like it could have also been in its own TV show, but not in the Marvelverse, because from the
Yes.
beginning, everything was called.
You
Like-
could change everything up, and that could have been a Lethal Weapon TV show.
Legitimately, that could have been like a Born Identity movie.
Yep.
Right. Like, I and the fact that it was so fucking predictable from the beginning.
Yep.
It was just painful.
And there were no big surprises, no big reveals, no
Uh,
crazy drops. It was
and again, it was another one of those where we're like, oh, we have a message, and here are some sympathetic baddies. I'm fucking over sympathetic baddies.
same.
It's fine to be just dicks for the reason. So yeah, that will be the weakest. Hawkeye's probably just a smidge above Falcon Winter Soldier. I did see Hawkeye.
I'd put Hawkeye above She-Hulk.
I don't know. That was the one I had the hardest time to buy. Right?
I love Vincent D'Onofrio. I thought the chick did a really good job as Kate Bishop. I love Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova.
I know, but I had a hard time with a 15-year-old character that doesn't have any sort of superpowers pulling off the shit that character pulled off in that film.
How do you feel about Robin?
Different.
How?
Because in the DC mythos, that's a thing. Batman's just got a lot of fucking training. That's a thing. We've already accepted that. In the Marvelverse, a lot of the times, like, if you're standing up to... Because they put her against a Black Widow, which, if the movies are to be believed, they're basically super soldiers. Right? Like,
but the Black Widow was openly not trying to kill her.
But that was just one of the examples where, like, it wasn't about killing her. She still won that fight, right? Like, that's the part I had a hard trouble with. That's all.
She's an Olympic-level athlete.
Yeah? Great. That doesn't make you a fighter. Just because, as an example, just because you're real good at fucking swimming doesn't mean that you can translate that to a bar fight, right? I'm not... I just...
Whatever does or doesn't work for you, big guy. I don't know how you can accept Robin and not accept that and just go, oh, it's the other side of the fence. I'm sorry, I don't buy your argument, but it's your argument.
Because in the Marvelverse, as they've established it, I just don't feel it fits within the rules. That's all.
What rules?
The general speaking, like, most folks, I think Hawkeye himself is probably the weakest, and they show him getting the shit kicked out of him several times, right?
Because he's old, deaf, and his body is destroyed from years of doing all this shit.
Even when he was younger, we always just admitted that he was a dude with a fucking bow and arrow. I just felt like the Kate Bishop character was a little bit too much. That's all. And yes, again, the Robin thing is different. Like, the mythos within the DC-verse, we've already kind of admitted that it's a thing. Like, we've already bought into the plot. Otherwise, you're like, well, Batman's just a dude in a mask.
If you were severely limiting yourself to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would agree with you. In the larger Marvelverse, literally no, not at all. Tons of non-powered heroes, just like in DC.
No.
And if you're going to talk Marvelverse, so then who gets to introduce that? Who gets to finally say, okay, there's Robins and young people without powers? Who gets the honor of introducing such a thing?
Again, look at the Daredevil in the Marvelverse.
Uh-huh.
He got the shit kicked out of him several times. There were several very serious injuries. If we would have
He went up against an army of trained assassins. She went up against street thugs and one assassin who was not trying to kill her.
But even when he wasn't doing his full... all these crazy assassins, even when he was just fighting henchmen, they still kicked the gangsters.
There were no average everyday henchmen. He did not fight a street gang.
Bullshit.
He fought members of the Hand. That whole movie was him doing lawyer shit, him fighting the Punisher, him fighting Elektra, whose henchmen are the Hand, and him fighting Kingpin, who mostly has super-powered henchmen.
Yeah, but there were whole scenes of him fighting people like... there was that... shit, I'm trying to remember. My point was that I would have bought it more if Kate Bishop would have gotten the shit kicked out of her. Just a little more. That's all I'm trying to say.
I guess.
Because it's already been established that if you don't have superpowers, yes, you can succeed, but you're still human and you're going to be vulnerable. Like, that kind of thing. I just felt like... Maybe I did... Let me translate that into a more understandable way.
You felt like Short Round should have died in Temple of Doom.
If it was established within the lore, yes. I know. I just feel like maybe it was too much of a kids show. Is that a more appropriate way to put that?
Guess.
I didn't feel like there were ever any real stakes for her.
Yeah, but that's every Marvel show.
There's some pain and people die.
Also, if you're not like, I know we weren't going to talk about it, but fuck, bro, Andor is so hard to get through because again, it's a prequel, so it's like, well, there's no danger here.
Oh, yeah, that's gotta be
That
tough.
guy doesn't die.
Yeah,
He's
no, that God
in
damn
the
it,
movie.
I didn't understand. Yes, I would have loved to see more of the character, but like as good as Rogue One was, I think he did a solid job, and I think that's kind of the story we needed.
He already said he's not going to do it again after this. This is the last time he will play Cassian Andor.
Great. It's
Yeah,
fine.
but like let's just do this once and then be done with it. We didn't
Yeah,
need.
it's fine. I still need to watch the Obi-Wan show. That was one of
There's
those.
no stakes.
Exactly. But
No,
that,
all the people online who wanted to shit on that little girl, I'm like, she's like 5. She did great for a 5-year-old.
yeah,
What is
no,
wrong with you?
So that's my problem. That's another one of those shows where I'm just getting a distance from. I need to get a distance from the fucking reactionary shit before I
But
watch it.
it's a whole plot where the people in danger are like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Leia. So we know none of them died. Cool. Like, there's even a plot where it's like, oh, Obi-Wan has to race back to make it to save Luke in time, and you're like,
He's gonna.
oh no, does he make it? Did he die? Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to. Honestly, I was hoping the Obi-Wan show would be more about his shenanigans outside.
I was
of
hoping
the
it was
other
going to be
folks.
him doing some other shit. Yep.
Because you can introduce other characters that do die, and you can see the journey that he goes through and what turned him into what he ended up being. That is
Exactly.
the story I was interested in. Once I heard there was
Guess what you didn't get?
once I heard there was going to be Luke and Leia, I was very much disappointed in that as well. All right, I know we don't have any time at all here, but I did want to talk about one fucking random thing and really just talk about the ending, because we both watched it and it's been a minute for you, but I just finished Eureka. I
Oh.
had watched it before, up until I think it's season 4. So they actually do the whole. Hey, by the way, spoiler: the thing's been out for 10 years at least.
Yeah, bro.
So they do that whole like time skip thing, alternate thing twice.
Uh-huh.
where
Yeah.
it changes the entire universe twice.
Yeah.
I think the first time I made it past the first one, and that second one I just gave up, and I was like, if we're just gonna keep doing this, what's the point of getting invested in these characters and their lives?
Right.
We're just gonna fucking shit on it. But I finally finished it. I liked it more this time.
Okay.
Even some of the references aged well.
Okay.
There isn't a lot of there's some references and some technologies where you're like, oh, I see, it's a big deal then, but not so much now because we've actually done this, right? Eureka was quick explanation for the audio is Eureka was a show about a super science community. You had all these geniuses that lived in this small town, and they had hover cars, and they had all these crazy science experiments that go awry, and you bring in your everyman, the sheriff, former U.S. Marshal, comes in, and he's basically supposed to almost save these people from themselves, right? Like these wacky scientists. And he's not as smart as them, so you have an everyman doing that. Anyways, so the ending, do you remember it?
Doesn't he like move and pick somebody else to be sheriff?
No, that was one of the false endings.
Then I don't remember it.
Do you remember the time skip to 1947?
No.
Okay. See, I think you dropped off the first time at the same time that I dropped off.
No, I 100% finished the show. I just finished it like when it was coming out, and it's been like 10
And you
years.
haven't rewatched it? Yeah, no, so the last one is the DoD decides to no longer fund Eureka, so they're all going to shut it down. Except that one guy who fucked up the timeline because he time skipped from 1947 to the future had a bunch of stock, so he's rich as fuck, and he bought the whole thing. The end.
Yay!
The end. Endings are hard, and I feel like they did the best they could. Because how else you either shut the bitch down, like they look like they were geared towards, or you leave the door open and everything is okay. We'll see where the future comes. So I think endings were going to be hard. I will say, after how many times it pivoted, some of the reveals towards the end were solid, and I enjoyed the show. I think you should rewatch it. I really do.
Maybe. I'm doing a couple other rewatches right now, so we'll see. Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll have to find a place that's streaming
I'm for this. It's Prime
for free.
and Hulu. Yeah, for free.
All right.
I am also, because they're linked. There were like 3 or 4 sci-fi shows that were linked in that time period that got super popular. But I'm watching Warehouse 13 as well.
That one I know I didn't finish.
Yeah, that one I feel like I also dropped off because it jumped a shark at a certain point. I just don't remember when. But I'm gonna get through it this time. I enjoyed it the first go. Still, my rating is still a solid 4 out of 5. Like, there are times in this show where I'm legitimately laughing out loud, and I don't know what it is, but as I get older, that seems to diminish more and more. Right? Like, legit, the things are funny and I'll laugh, but that immediate ha, and then just, there were a bunch of jokes in this one, specifically around like the technology and how it's reacting. The robot sheriff dude was fucking hilarious sometimes. It's an automaton. He's a robot, and he's overly cheery no matter what he's saying. So he's always like, yeah, and everything's great. And as he's being like dismembered as an example, right? So it was fun. Yeah, like the show. Still 4 out of 5. I was hoping you'd remember more about it so we can actually talk.
I told you I hadn't watched it in 10 years.
I know.
I told you.
I know, but I was hoping you'd know, especially because there's a whole, like, I think an entire season with a Felicia Day arc that I thought you were going to be really mad about.
Probably.
All right. Well, on that note, check us out Mondays 7 to 8 Pacific, Tuesday on in 5D podcast on YouTube. I almost switched over to the other show. On Tuesdays, I'm on twitch.tv/Metagame Network for Multiplayer Night. Haven't been for a couple of weeks. Got sick. Was on a work trip. It's been a whole thing. But totally intending to be there mañana. Yeah. So Bonsai, final words, final thoughts. Anything for the crowd?
Probably.
All right. Bye.